Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you are. And welcome to the Harvard Kennedy School Class Day Award Ceremony 2021. I'm Rika Kamiji Matsunoda.
I'm Kanchima Kamporo. We are two of your class masters this year, and we are so thrilled that you, your family, and friends are joining this ceremony from around the world. More specifically, today we are celebrating the achievements of around 400 graduating students coming from 75 different countries and territories.
We are greatly honored to share this moment together. The class of 2021 went through unprecedented times as we had spent our time studying on Zoom more than a year, which we did not expect when we started our HKS journey. Since the pandemic began to spread around the world, our school lives had changed upside down.
However, in such challenging circumstances, we become even more connected despite isolations. And we become even more resilient despite mounting uncertainties. And we become even more compassionate for the community and for one another. More importantly, we asked ourselves what we can do, thus standing by in taking a collective action, even if it meant just adhering to masks up rule or just learning to rock those Zoom meetings in your pajama pants while keeping your that fancy top and oblivious professional look. Yes, you know what I mean. Against all odds, whether that would be ungodly time zone difference or unstable internet connections or border closures or at times family loss. We all pushed through together to come at on this day to celebrate our graduation. And now that is something remarkably inspiring. Thus, each and every one of us deserves an award today. The achievements of the HKS students go beyond classrooms, as their policy-based research papers benefit the local communities, as they exemplify leadership skills in serving in the front line, as they lead the cabinets in these fluid situations. Yet, the achievements do not have to be as intimidating as you might think, as they can be something genuinely mundane.
Yes, for instance, last summer, after the Harvard classes switched to all online, those who stayed in Cambridge, just like me, had to get creative to design our so-called new normalities from scratch, yet maintaining crucial parts of our old lifestyle, which is in-person interaction. These crucial parts can be as mundane as just say hi to your friends or just hearing about how their days were. Thus, several of our classmates started socially distanced gathering at the Harvard Yard. And we shared our achievements, regardless of whether they are large or small. Our conversation would go like this. I adopted a dog. She grew several inches this week. And I published an article during an internship. While some of our peers did make life-changing contributions, like saving patients in the hospital or setting up COVID-19 vaccine centers, which are of course inspiring, but we all succeeded in carrying out our HKS academic journey. So even if you think that your achievement looks small to you, trust me, all of them are in fact worth celebrating as a community.
Today, we honor all of you who made the best of the situation to pursue your passion during your HKS degree program.
After commencement, we will continue to play multiple roles in multiple fields. We wish you all the luck in the world. Just in case if things don't go perfectly, or if you occasionally find yourself in challenging situation, please remember to acknowledge your achievement, regardless of whether they are large or small. Just like the way how my friends and I did at the Harvard Yard during the summer.
Under the challenging times, all the more the world needs our service to make a difference. Today, we are thankful to HKS faculty and staff for equipping us with the skills and knowledge to make those differences. Today, we are thankful to our family and friends who made today's milestone possible. Today, we are thankful to you, our fellow students, who embarked on this amazing HKS journey, enriching each other's learning experience while becoming lifelong best friends.
In addition to the presentation of the awards to today's recipients, we are going to hear from our student government president and the student chairs of the HKS Fund, and one representative from each of the graduating classes, who will give their class day speech.
Once again, welcome to the Howard Kennedy School Class Day Award Ceremony 2021. We are proud that you are here.
Dear classmates, congratulations on graduating. It is hard to believe, but you are about to leave this place with the HKS title, and your life will never be the same. It is an achievement you've earned not only by being admitted into this institution, but because of all of the hard work that you've put in these past 2 very difficult years. And I think that if any class deserves this distinction, it's this one. Looking back, it's incredible to see how much growth has happened in that time. I would have never thought of running for a position like KSSG president. These kind of things truly terrified me, and putting myself out there like that was unthinkable. But I remembered that I came here to challenge myself and to face my fears, and that led to incredible growth. I know that I'm leaving this place with the convictions to fight for my values in a way that didn't exist the first day of graduation. And for me, that's an incredibly important achievement because I came to HKS looking for a career change. Before starting at HKS, I was a nuclear engineer. And although that was a very interesting job, it was not the kind of work that unlocked my best work and my inner motivation. I remember how hard it was to think of leaving that very comfortable job to pursue an uncertain and complicated calling towards human rights. I had to really weigh everything that went into making that decision. Quitting my job, starting over within a career without any professional experience, paying for my bills in the meantime, giving up a lifestyle that was afforded to me by my nice nuclear engineering salary. And then imagine me telling my immigrant father, who came to this country to give me and my siblings a better life, that I was making this change. I remember him telling me, "No, you've already made it. I do not want to worry about you anymore." And I understood him. He came here willing to do anything to ensure our future. And the prospect of giving up a lucrative job just to pursue your passion was almost ridiculous to him. But we got through that process through some hard conversations, realizing that even just having the freedom to pursue my dreams was the reward of his hard work as well. So I understand that making these decisions is not easy, but today I can tell you that it was the best decision I've ever made. I wake up every day with the certainty of my convictions, with the motivation of my deepest passions, and it is a freedom and a happiness I wouldn't change for anything else. I don't know if during your growth at HKS you found a new passion, a new calling that could have made you consider all of the carefully crafted plans you had in mind. Perhaps learning about a specific policy problem inspired you to go find new solutions in subject areas and places that you had never studied before. Or perhaps engaging in advocacy for a human rights cause made you realize that your heart was with fighting for the most vulnerable. Or perhaps you realized the scope of some of the incredible issues we are facing today, like the climate crisis or nuclear proliferation, and have found the urgency to fight for a cause humanity truly needs fighters right now. What I want to tell you today is to not be afraid to pursue those passions, to not be afraid to follow that calling. This is the perfect time to reassess and re-engage the world in your terms. The perfect time to rewrite that Ask What You Can Do essay of admissions, but to re-enter the real world. And I promise you that having the courage to pursue that path is a decision that you will never, ever regret taking. So congratulations, class of 2021. I wish you all the best. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. I cannot wait to see how you all will go out there and change the world. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan Linquity, and today I'm happy to present the Sue Williamson Award. This award is given out each year to Harvard Kennedy School staff members who greatly enhance the student experience, as nominated by the graduating class. This year, we are pleased to give the award to
Ellen Raphael, a 1982 MPP alumna, was distinguished for a remarkable career in educational leadership and policymaking. She was sadly distinguished as well for an untimely death of cancer in her 40s. And her family set up this recognition in her memory for a graduating MPP student who exemplifies Ellen's characteristics of intellectual excellence, academic accomplishment, a zest for public service, a commitment to HKS, and personal warmth, integrity, and loyalty. All of the awards given at Class Day are meaningful, but the Ellen Raphael Award is meaningful to me in a special way. Ellen was an MPP icon, but she was also my classmate and my friend. I think this is probably the last time that an MPP faculty chair will confer this award who had actually known Ellen in person. I knew what Ellen was good at, anything related to analysis, anything related to friendship. I knew what Ellen was bad at, which included carrying a tune or suppressing a wisecrack. I knew how she took her coffee. So it's especially meaningful to me to help select a recipient for this award. Earlier in May, a few of us gathered to consider the nominations of several wonderful MPPs. And we concurred relatively quickly that one of these nominees was wonderful in just the right way. Academic excellence, a commitment to public service, social justice, and HKS, a true gift for friendship and loyalty. In short, an inspiring 2021 version of Ellen Raphael's legacy. The Harvard MPP curriculum is structured around two intertwined approaches to mastering the work of public policy. The more obvious and traditional approach is the sequence of requirements in politics, economics, leadership, empirical analysis, and the rest of the core. The other approach is a series of problem-based experiential exercises that give you a chance to integrate and apply what you've learned. These exercises follow a trajectory of increasing complexity, realism, and challenge. The first is the personal policy challenge you carried out in policy design and delivery, which was interesting and important, but low stakes and usually simplified. The second is spring exercise, which features a lot more complexity, tends to be big and urgent, basically an HKS exercise, but with multiple points of connection to real-world practice. And the third element in the sequence is the policy analysis exercise, done for a real client, with real goals and constraints, and plenty of potential consequences for real human beings. By the time you get to your PAE, you've learned a lot, and you spend a lot of time on it. The PAE is supposed to be pretty good, and most of them indeed are. And some of them are really good. Of all the PAEs submitted each year, a handful, 5 to 7, are nominated for the Top Policy Analysis Exercise Award. These nominations are carefully reviewed and discussed by a panel of eminent senior colleagues in order to identify the best of the best produced by MPPs at the top of their game.
Hello, my name is Matthias Risse, and I'm the director of the Carr Center for Human Rights Policy. I am delighted to present the winner of the Carr Center Class Day Award for the best PAE that is focused on human rights. Each year, this award goes to a student or a group of students with the most impressive PAE that deploys the human rights framework. This year, we are incredibly pleased to give this award to
My name is Muad, and I'm a graduating student from the MPP class of 2021. The year 2020 was not the first time I myself experienced lockdowns. I grew up in Palestine in the early 2000s. At that time, and throughout the Second Intifada or uprising, Israeli military curfews in Palestinian cities were common. They were common enough that my family and I developed certain rituals while we were stuck at home in Ramallah. For example, my siblings and I had our own lockdown snack menu and a special list of games that we'd only play during those days. 20 years later, while on lockdown once again, I continued to reflect on my experience during those days growing up. And I find myself smiling despite the hardships, thinking to myself, how did we manage to block the sound of the occasional bullet? And how did we manage to ignore the repetitive and annoying military announcement, screaming in the background, "Mamnu' at-tajawul," you are placed in curfew until further notice. I now realize that I smile because what I remember from 20 years ago are the beautiful bonds I created with my family. I smile because I remain fascinated by our brain's capacity to let go of fear and hold on to memories of love, care, and compassion. In many ways, the hardships that the world is witnessing during the pandemic have reminded me of my journey growing up. This time, however, I did not spend the long hours of lockdown with my small family at home. Instead, I spent it with a bigger family, a wider, supportive community that includes my HKS classmates, professors, and staff. A community that, despite being physically located all over the world, has cultivated a special closeness. And similarly, I am fascinated by our resilience and capacity to not only survive, but to make progress and actually thrive during such unusual times. We started by giving each other advice on how to make stand-up desks with the books that we never returned to the library. We attended online classes in pajamas, whether that was at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. for some of us. We socialized outdoors while wearing homemade masks. We completed internships to support COVID-19 responses in local governments and globally through organizations like the WHO and the UN. And we took care of ourselves and of those around us. And we continued to fight for social justice worldwide. When the healthcare system needed help, our classmates stepped up to do fundraising and contact tracing. When international students faced the threat of expulsion from the country, our classmates wrote petitions and advocated for our right to stay. When the murder of George Floyd once again pushed the US to reckon with the past and present histories of racism, our classmates joined the Black Lives Matter protests, wrote op-eds, and successfully lobbied for an HKS class on the long-storied Black liberation movement. When the COVID-19 pandemic Through an unbalanced weight on countries like India and Brazil, our classmates stepped up to do their part by organizing successful donation campaigns. And when we were asked to step out of the classroom and into the real policy world, while still students, we demonstrated that we are capable of finding ways to thoughtfully and critically participate in policymaking and the struggle for justice. This, of course, was not an easy journey. Many of us made difficult decisions by leaving our families in a different geographic location just to be present in class. Many have suffered directly or even lost loved ones because of COVID. And we all had to juggle these complications while trying to make the most out of our time at Harvard. I hope that this bittersweet graduation moment can help us reflect and congratulate ourselves on our resilience to continue learning despite a global pandemic. We have become excellent at focusing on the positives. This was an active and a difficult choice we made. It does not diminish the hardships we faced, but it has and it will help us survive difficult challenges now and in the future. My classmates of the resilient class of 2021, we now know that we are uniquely qualified to go into our future, fearless of any challenges and prepared to creatively deal with the most complex situations. Even if we cannot predict the future, I am confident that in 20 years from now, the memory of the bonds we created and the progress we made during the pandemic will make us smile. And through advocacy, love, and compassion, it will empower us to do our share in shaping policy and taking care of ourselves and those around us anywhere in the world. My fellow graduates of the MPP class of 2021, congratulations.
Hi, I'm Hannah Riley Bowles. I am the co-director of the Women in Public Policy program, and I have the honor today of presenting 3 awards. Let me start with the James Mansbridge Research Award. Each year, the Women in Public Policy program honors a student for the best research paper with an analysis of an organization or topic focused on gender and public policy. This year, we are pleased to give this award to It is my pleasure now to present the Holly Taylor Sargent Award for Women's Advancement. This award is presented annually to a member of the Harvard Kennedy School community, faculty, staff, or student who has done the most to advance the opportunities, situation, or status of women within the Kennedy School. This year, we are pleased to give the award to Finally, it is my pleasure to present the Barbara Jordan Award for Women's Leadership. This award honors one graduating student at the Harvard Kennedy School for their commitment to building community and for serving as a role model for women aspiring to be leaders. I would like to congratulate this year's recipient,
Hello, I'm Robin Chapman, and today I'm happy to present the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Student Award. Each year, this award goes to a student leader who has greatly contributed to building a more diverse and inclusive Kennedy School community. This year, we are pleased to give this award to
to my fellow MPA class of 2021. First, let's take a moment to thank those who made it possible for us to be here today. Our friends, family, and loved ones have all supported us so that we can come together on this graduation day. For me, my parents were there for advice, but I also have you all to thank. The past 2 years were filled with inspirations. Our collective actions helped secure a second year for Mia. Our MPA family grew with Little Juniors. And most importantly, Army beat Navy at West Point for the first time. Sorry, Jeremy. But there are a few specific examples that I want to highlight because they inspired me to stay the course with public service. Most of you know how Nyat pursued her education by fighting through obstacles and proving wrong those who knew her best. Through extreme persistence, she broke through many barriers, but with sacrifices. Sacrifices she does not wish upon the younger generations in her hometown. So instead of waiting for the situation to improve, she founded her own NGO to help support the education of children in Vietnam. When I was struggling to keep up with assignments, Nyat was hosting a successful fundraiser for her NGO during a Halloween party. The smiles of the kids who received support from that fundraiser is something I will remember for a long time. So if you want things to change, instead of waiting for someone to do it, host a party, and you can be the one to change it. When I was asking for advice to navigate grad school, I was told it would be impossible to balance the 3 S's: study, sleep, and social life. And sure enough, it appeared that grad school was a constant battle to decide which of the 3 S's to sacrifice. So I was surprised when I met Onyeka and learned that she was working as an ER doctor over the weekends. Not only was she studying, sleeping, and socializing, but she was also saving lives on the side. While I was limiting myself to the preconceived boundaries of the 3 S's, Onyeka was operating at a much higher capacity and demonstrating that we are more capable than we think we are. So if you think you're overwhelmed with tasks, remember that you can always be saving lives on the weekends. At the start of the pandemic, I was lamenting about the missed opportunities, thinking about how many days I can go without shaving, and just wasting my time watching Tiger King. But I was soon put to shame when Yasmin announced that she started a scholarship to help students in need. She immediately recognized the unforeseen consequences the pandemic would bring to students with disadvantaged backgrounds. Her scholarship was to ensure that those students didn't have to choose between higher education and other life necessities. So during the time of hardship, take a moment to think how you can shame your friends by helping others who need more help. Also, in the beginning of the pandemic, the US was desperate for testing kits, while we all waited for the situation to improve. However, staying true to our school's motto, Zhu founded a startup and provided COVID test kits to underserved communities in his home state of Illinois. And when the vaccines became available, he started providing vaccines throughout the state. He was featured on many local news media and soon won a major contract to run one of Chicago's mass vaccination sites, providing vaccines to thousands of people daily basis as we speak. Zhu's motivation to serve the public manifested in his startup, and his action exemplified, ask what you can do. So if you want to be a local celebrity, think about how you can serve the public. I leave here more fired up and committed to serving the greater good, thanks to many examples of excellence from you. Looking to my left and right, I see innovation and creativity in addressing the day's problem. As soon-to-be graduates of this institution, the responsibility now rests on our shoulders to not only be a contributing member of our society, but also to inspire those around us to serve the public. Especially in these unprecedented times, we now have the duty to serve as an example for others to emulate. Thank you.
I'm David Deming, the director of the Malcolm Weiner Center for Social Policy. I'm honored to introduce the center's 3 annual awards: the Manuel C. Carballo Memorial Prize, the Susan C. Eaton Memorial Prize, and the Frederick Fisher Memorial Prize. Each award winner will receive a cash prize from the Malcolm Weiner Center for Social Policy. The first award, the Manuel C. Carballo Prize, honors the memory of Manuel C. Carballo, a faculty member at the Harvard Kennedy School from 1978 to 1982, who also served in several public service positions during his distinguished career. The Carballo Award recognizes research related to the implementation, management, and evaluation of programs serving disadvantaged populations in the United States. The Manuel C. Carballo Prize is awarded to Next, the Susan C. Eaton Award honors the memory of Susan C. Eaton, who was a member of the Harvard Kennedy School community as a student, alumna, and faculty member from 1993 to 2003. This award recognizes research excellence on a topic related to Ms. Eaton's work, including human resources management, healthcare management, healthcare quality, union leadership, fair wage policy, work and family policy, gender equity, and topics related to aging. The Susan C. Eaton Prize is awarded to the third and final Weiner Center Award, the Frederick Fisher Memorial Prize, honors the memory of Fred Fisher, an alumnus of the school's MPP program and a committed public servant. This award is presented for excellence in research on topics including criminal justice, inequality, economic and social mobility, workforce development, poverty, education, immigration, social services, and related social policy issues. The Frederick Fisher Memorial Prize is awarded to
Hello, I am Jeffrey Liebman, Professor of Public Policy and Director of the Taubman Center for State and Local Government. The annual Taubman Center Urban Prize recognizes Kennedy School student achievement in urban policy. And the award goes to the student or students whose policy analysis exercise best addresses a domestic urban policy issue in the United States. This year, we are proud to give the Taubman Center Urban Prize to
Hello, my name is Danny Roderick. I'm the faculty chair of the MPID program. And it's my great pleasure to present the award for the best second year policy paper. The second year policy analysis award is presented to the work that best represents the ideals of the MPID program. It's a capstone project in which students choose a real-world policy problem and address it through a final paper combining qualitative, quantitative analysis, institutional, economic, political analysis, and then offer detailed policy recommendations. The winner of the award is selected by the 3 seminar leaders of the second year policy analysis seminar, and they are Rema Hanna, Celestin Monga, and Michael Walton. And this year's winners is Now I'd like to present the Raymond Vernon Award for commitment to international development. The Raymond Vernon Award is presented to a graduating MPAID student who best personifies the values of the program, namely dedication to the field of international development, citizenship, academic excellence, and potential future contribution and leadership. And the recipient of the Raymond Vernon Award is selected by his or her classmates, and in their recommendations and nominations, they have expressed how much they were inspired by the leadership shown by this year's winner. And this year's winner of the Raymond Vernon Award is
Dear MPID classmates, my name is Roqia Al-Huda, and today I am the speaker for the MPID class. 2 full academic years together. What a journey, and what an honor to be sharing this moment with you today. In August 19, I remember watching one last sunset from my Casablanca apartment with a heavy heart, but a curious spirit before getting in the car. At the airport, I had to reschedule my flight because of a last-minute medical issue. As much as I was worried and absorbed by the news, I was also relieved not to leave. I wanted one more gasp of that life, because I knew I was embarking on a journey that was going to change how I think, what I believe, and who I am. I was not disappointed. Today, there's even more that I don't want to let go of. And let me share what that even more is. I'm sure you will remember your version of it too. I remember Carol, Sarah, and Kevin's masterful orchestration of Math Camp, creating a virtuous circle of care and enjoining everyone to nurture it. I remember the patience of our professors, TFs, and CAs as I bombarded them with my ignorant questions. I hope I remember Dan Levy's airport ideas, and I know they are now going to be called Zoom waiting room ideas. I remember the commitment of people like Mark, Abdullah, and many others who reminded us of deadlines and who distilled their understanding of classes into our brains. I remember the organizers like Ruth, who created exceptional moments of communion and bonding among us. I remember the quiet forces of our group, who shared with me glimpses of their worlds, and who have a wealth of intelligence, empathy, and poetry to offer. I remember the free food at HKS. I remember Zainab's cooking and Hannah's baking. Today, we probably feel amplified versions of what one feels during uncertain times. Many of us haven't seen our families and loved ones for a while. Some of us are grieving. We have learned to live with unprecedented levels of uncertainty and fear, and we continue to watch the world mourn and suffer. Some of us are feeling anxious, apathetic, lethargic. Maybe fear or disappointment is making some of us recoil in distrust. As we go through these difficult times, I remember a friend's motto: صبرا فليس هناك قلب مات من إنشاد حلمه. Be patient and persist, for there is no heart that died from singing its dreams. I believe we should not forego our ability to dream. Dream for ourselves, but more importantly, dream for the world. It is the one thing that will keep us from losing sight of our purpose. And maybe to give you some fuel for those dreams, remember that we survived through the tumult of last year together, and we continue to do so. With some scars, yes, but we did manage to get this far. Some of us found love, got married, some are embarking on thrilling entrepreneurial journeys, some found exciting organizations to work with, and some leave with an impressive collection of their artistic creations. I would not be fulfilling my duties for this speech if I do not talk about the learnings I'm leaving with today. First, the trilemma. We studied its 3 components in class and got an additional deep dive on one of them while touring with the administration. Esteban could not have hoped for more. But as much as I learned from classes, I learned even more from the many times you challenged my thinking and from the inspiring examples you set for me throughout this journey. We graduate at a time where the world's attention has perhaps never been as focused on public servants and governments. Many of us leave school with this emphasized sense of responsibility and duty. And as we embark on this new chapter, I aspire to hold myself accountable to a few things. And I know I can only achieve that with your help. From the diversity of culture and backgrounds from which we have grown, I want to refuse to fall into an us versus them rhetoric and always see humanity in others. From the sleepless discussions we had questioning the world, I want you to keep me honest on whether what I do moves the needle towards what I believe in. I promise to keep you honest too. And from Dan Levy's class, I commit not to cherry pick. As we try to live up to our responsibilities, I really hope every one of us will treat themselves as a friend, with kindness and benevolence. Perhaps most importantly, I want us to be vulnerable to each other, because that's how we can be best together, and together is how we build a path to accomplishing our dreams. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Allison Agston, a graduating student in the mid-career program. We have seen that HKS students need financial help now more than ever before. Let's come together in our final moments to create a meaningful and unique fellowship as our class legacy. The class campaign mission is to provide financial aid to 4 incoming students through our class of 2021 Resiliency Fellowship.
Hello, Chris Valdez here, also a mid-career student. With our support, we can help an incoming student from each cohort who has demonstrated perseverance and determination, just like our class had to do in this unprecedented year.
Hi, my name is John Deng Diading. I'm a mid-career graduating student of 2021 class. Our contribution will help future aspiring students to make a difference in the world if given the opportunity to acquire skills from HKS. It is my hope that we will allow someone to achieve their dream. Thank you.
Thanks to everybody who has participated so far. And if you haven't had that opportunity, look out for an email coming to you later today.
I'm Doug Elmendorf, the Dean of the Kennedy School. I'm happy to present the Dean's Award for Excellence in Student Teaching. This award is given to course assistants, teaching fellows, and course coaches nominated by the students they taught, in recognition of the crucial role student teaching plays in the learning process of the Kennedy School. The nominations show what makes a good teaching assistant: knowledge of the subject matter, ability to make difficult material comprehensible to students of diverse backgrounds, commitment to teaching, a positive professional attitude, and accessibility. The people we are honoring today meet all those qualifications and then some. They have exhibited dedication to the job beyond all expectations. This year, we are pleased to give this award to
Hi, I'm Emma Heffern, and I'm happy to present the Don K. Price Award. The Don K. Price Award was established in honor of Don Price, Dean of the Kennedy School from 1958 to 1977, and one of the architects of the school in its modern incarnation. Don Price was a vice president of the Ford Foundation in 1958 when he was asked to take over as the dean and lead this institution to become the premier graduate school of public service. Price responded to this challenge by working to develop a full-time faculty, a new and more professionally oriented curriculum, and integration of the real world of politics, public policy, and management into the core of the school's mission. The Don K. Price Award recognizes a member or members of the graduating MPA class who have made incredibly positive contributions to the class and the community. To select this year's award winners, a committee of faculty and staff have reviewed the nominations by their own peers, as well as the community contributions of graduating students. And this year, we are pleased to present this award to
Hello, I'm Kesley Hong, and I'm delighted to introduce the Lucius M. Littauer Award. The idea for a School of Public Affairs at Harvard was born on the eve of World War II. As the U.S. government grappled with historic challenges, both domestic and international, Harvard alumnus and New York Congressman Lucius M. Littauer had a vision of a school for a new professional governing class. He backed his vision with an unprecedented $2 million gift, at the time the largest single gift from an individual donor ever given to a university. Mr. Littauer made a contribution in his lifetime that still lives on today through the Mid-Career MPA program. The Lucius M. Littauer Award recognizes members of the graduating Mid-Career MPA class who have made incredibly positive contributions both to the class as well as the community. To select this year's award winners, a committee of faculty and staff has reviewed the nominations by graduating students, peers, and community members. This year, we are pleased to present this award to
family members, friends, faculty, and staff, and most importantly, my fellow classmates. Wow. Wow is simply the only word that comes to mind to describe the magnitude of this last year and the highs and lows we have experienced. I remember receiving my acceptance in March 2020, just before the world as we know it changed. I remember watching in horror as our countries began to close and COVID-19 infection rates began to rise. Collectively, through our incredibly active WhatsApp group, we processed the excitement of being accepted to HKS, and at the same time, internalized the grief of not being able to move to Cambridge. Between COVID-19, the global protest against racial injustice and police brutality, a series of natural disasters, a coup in Mali and Myanmar, a freak explosion in Beirut, and an attack on the US Capitol building that felt to many as an attack on global democracy. We've been through it, and some of us are still going through it. I would dare say there's been no other class in the history of HKS that has faced such existential threat to life as the class of 2021. But yet, here we are, Harvingers, and despite the chaos of this year and despite the many emails we have sent to the deans badgering them for answers on schedules and whatnot, we made it through, and we've built an incredible community of superheroes. Harvingers is Harvard and Avengers put together. We call ourselves Harvingers because anyone who was brave enough to attend HKS this year with the uncertainty of all that was going on around us is nothing short of a superhero. As I thought more on this name, Harvingers, I realized just how apt this analogy really was. For the comic buffs among us, you know that all superheroes have some sort of flaw or weakness, and learning how to master that weakness becomes their greatest strength. What makes them a superhero is simply mustering up the internal drive to move past their personal weaknesses to change the world. So, for those who've never watched an Avengers movie, here's a crash course on the main character profiles. There's Hulk. Hulk is strong, but that strength too quickly turns into rage. Thor is powerful, but lives in his father's shadow. The Black Widow is a professional assassin who feels inferior to women who have chosen family over career. And Captain America, he has a deep sense of duty and loyalty but is often too linear in his approach. Like these Avengers, all of us have similar weaknesses and internal struggles that hold us back from fully committing ourselves to the battles and wars that are happening around us. For me, my weakness has been the imposter syndrome and trying to reconcile the privilege of my education and experiences with society's perceived expectations of me as a little Black girl from rural Georgia. The superpower I've honed this year is accepting that I don't have to fit into what Chimamanda Adichie calls a single story. Accepting that I am all of my identities and that lending my voice to important issues brings a welcome diversity of perspective and thought. Fellow Harvingers, we started this program as superheroes, whether we knew it or not. We were already leaders and change makers in our own right. Yet, we yearned for a space to grow, a haven where we could challenge our weaknesses, insecurities, and biases, strengthen our leadership capabilities, and amplify our voices. The Mid-Career Program is the most valuable program that HKS offers. To be able to bring together such an experienced and rich community of movers and shakers, to learn from some of the most recognized policy thought leaders, and to experience personal growth in ways that are immeasurable is nothing short of amazing. But what we gain most from this program is each other. One person can win a battle, but it takes an army to win a war. At HKS, we became an army of superheroes. So whatever your war may be, whether you're fighting against systemic injustice or running for public office, your fellow Harvingers are with you. So while we came into this program as budding superheroes, tomorrow we will officially be bestowed the proverbial H across our chest and our crimson capes. May we wear them with pride, a deep responsibility, and as a reminder of the words of JFK, that life is never easy. There's work to be done and obligations to be met. Obligations to truth, to justice, and to liberty.
Hi, my name is Jawin Tang, and I am honored to present the Harvard Kennedy School Advisor of the Year Award. Each year, the graduating class nominates a faculty or staff member who has made a substantial impact on our student experience through formal or informal advice and guidance. This year, we're excited to present the award to
Hi, I am Jemima Jato, and today I am happy to present the Caballo Teaching Award. Each year, the Manuel C. Caballo Award for Excellence in Teaching is given to an instructor who best exemplifies, demonstrates, and inspires excellence through teaching, as nominated by the graduating class. This year, we are pleased to give this award to
Hi, I'm Debbie Isaacson, Senior Associate Dean for Degree Programs and Student Affairs. And today I'm honored to be presenting our final award, the Robert F. Kennedy Award for Excellence in Public Service. This award is presented to a graduating Kennedy School student or students whose commitment, activities, and contributions to public service are extraordinary. This year, we are pleased to give this award to
We are grateful and extremely proud to share our achievements with you all today.
Once again, we'd like to thank you all, our families, friends, HKS faculties, and staffs, and all people who have been showing unconditional support for us throughout our HKS time.
Thank you all for attending the Harvard Kennedy School Class Day Award Ceremony 2021.